What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tim, the liberal loudmouth.
And with Tim, as always, is the real Ron. And look what I got.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey,
I see that signature on there too. Did you
I
do
know.
that? Is that yours?
I did that. If you want one of these, they're yard signs. Just send me $5, and the $5 will go to Tim's defense fund.
Hey,
for the administration banning him from school that he's had, and actually won. You won that, Tim, right?
Yeah.
For the time being, anyway.
For the time being, yeah, temporarily.
So, if you want one of these, 14th. If you want one of these signed by the real Ron, just send me $5, and I'll bring it to you. I'll put it in your yard. I'll take a picture with you.
Nice.
What do we got going on today, Tim?
Man, we have a special guest that I'm excited about. Ryan Walters is going to be in the house, y'all. He's going to hang out with the loudmouths.
He just got done doing a thing with Unwokeable.
Yes, he did.
Oh, that's awesome.
Shout out to Unwokeable for sharing this video that we should probably cover when Ryan gets here. The deal from News on 6. Man,
that was horrible. That was horrible.
That was a horrible thing. So yeah, here in I don't know, no time. We're just waiting on Ryan at this point. Of course, he's a busy man, so I just appreciate the fact that he took some time out to come and get loud with the loudmouths.
That's right. And this is going to be a little bit different from an interview type setting because y'all know us. We're just loudmouths. We're just a couple dads just wanting to talk, and I hope Ryan's ready.
Yeah. I mean, it's happening, and I'm excited about it. I was a Gina supporter until I don't know what, a month ago or so, something like that. So
until she ignored you
the whole time. Yeah, she didn't want to have anything to do with me. I guess I was too loud, Ron. What do you think of that?
I just want to say, if you want one of these signed by the real Ron, I'll come bring it to you for $5. And the money goes to Tim's defense fund.
Nice. All right. Well, I just want to say that the wait is no longer. We've got Ryan Walters in the house. I'd like to introduce him. Come on in, Ryan. What's up, man?
How's it going, guys?
Oh, man, it's going good. You know how we do it.
Man, I'm telling you, you're going to get so much grief from your friends, though, Tim, for having me on.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Friends is subjective, I'll just say.
Ryan, I know you just got done with Unwokeable. I know that you're running a state election campaign now. You've been on national news. You hang out with some big time fellas. I appreciate you coming on with us.
None bigger than these two. Are you kidding me? Ron, liberal loudmouth.
That's what I'm saying. We're just a couple of dads. We're not journalists. Tim, I know, went to school for a little bit for journalism, but I do drywall and I do tile. So we just want to talk as three dads, as parents that have similar issues with public schools. And at that, I just want everybody to have as much input in the comment section and bring your comments, questions. We're going to include everybody. And I'll let Tim take over because he's the producer and the TV star. So go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, man. I just want to say, like Ron said, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. I know I've made some videos that maybe didn't put you in the best of light, but
Tim, they were ignorant. They were ignorant videos, Tim. They were ignorant videos.
I thought they were hilarious personally, but I do have a sense of humor, which the board of Owasso is now well aware. But yeah, we just were going to chill out. I mean, just have a conversation. Really, your dad too, right? How many kids do you have now?
So I've got 4. I have younger ones. So I've got a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And I mean, I guess that's my thing is that I really appreciate it. Hey, like Tim, Ron knows this about me. Like I like the back and forth. I like having the robust discussion, and I know, and I try to tell people that look. I've got strong opinions. I think most Oklahomans have really strong opinions. And so I try to be very upfront with people. Like, here's where I am. Here's where I think the problems are. And again, hey, some folks, if they don't agree, let's talk about it. I mean, I always enjoy that. I think it gets you to a consensus. I'm always amazed that once you actually can kind of dig into things, that at the end of it, you kind of walk away and go, actually, we probably agree on, 80% of this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Ron, man, first, hey, can I actually start with this, Tim? The first time I met Ron, he was such a jerk to me, by the way. He was I know that shocks you. He was so aggressive with me. Yeah. And but by the way, I completely got it. because his school was shut down. People wouldn't meet with him. And I brought him in. Someone would give me his number, and I mean, he was fire out of the gate, and I remember just being like, I don't think he likes me, but I really like him. And I hoped he was appreciating, because I was just being super upfront with him. I was like, Ron, here's the deal. We're trying. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what we're trying to do. And here's our issues. And I'm trying to troubleshoot these issues as best I can, but I'm trying all that we can to put pressure on these schools to open. And anyway, we ended up having a pretty good relationship after that.
It's been 2.5 years. And Tim, I've told you this story, but not everybody knows the history between me and Ryan. Ryan was the first public official that reached out to me during COVID when schools were locked down. And he's like, hey, bring all these parents up here to the Capitol. I want to meet with these parents. And I said, nice. That's my special. I get people together. So we went up there. We sit in the governor's office, and he sat there across, it was over an hour that you sat with parents from all over the state and just talked and heard what we had to say and took notes. And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I will say what I respect most about you, and I've always, even when I wasn't supporting you, I respected this about you. When somebody asks you a question, you just answer the damn thing. I mean, you just straight out, you don't mince words, you know what I mean? And it is rare to see that in a campaign. So, for that, for whatever it's worth, I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. And I mean, I knew, I was like, even Ron told me before, he's like, you don't have to be like so direct. Like, but really, that's who I am, is like, look, let me be really direct. And then that way, hey, even if we disagree, you know where I stand. And hey, you might come back and go, hey, dude, but you're dead wrong because A, B, and C. And I'll go, okay, well, now you've given me something to think about. If I don't tell you what I think, or, hey, I've talked to all these people and I think this is the issue and I think this is how we solve it. If I don't tell you that, it really doesn't even give you the opportunity to come back at me and go, well, hold on, have you thought about this? So I just believe we got to cut through it. And like, let's just have real direct conversations. Let's have, hey, disagreements on the issues are great. You know what I mean? I think it's, let's have the robust conversation and let's figure out what's best for our kids. Because ultimately we want what's best for our kids. I just, frankly, Tim, I think the far left has lost their mind. I think I get Democrats all the time. They're like, listen, all right, some of this stuff is just nuts. I'm like, I know. And they're like, well, I mean, I'm a Democrat and I'm with most of this, but like that right there is just crazy to me. I'm like, I agree. A lot of this stuff that I feel like we talk about isn't even left or right. It's just like, there's just been a lack of common sense that I think has been pushed again, by just certain segments of the far left.
Yeah. Common sense. That's the great word. Sorry, go ahead, Ron.
Hang on. Hey, I have to fill it, but I want to talk about the common sense. Okay. Ryan, I want you to come out of campaign mode and be a dad. Okay. And I want people to see the Ryan that I know. And here's the thing. We got one thing real quick. We have to give a shout out, because we always do, to Todd Autry.
Todd.
Tina Michelle Craig. Sandy, love you. Thanks. Joe's watching from Ponca City. Yeah. Michelle Lynn from Claremore. We have so many parents that come on to watch us as parents. And we constantly banter back and forth with them and put their little messages up. And we don't want to stray away from what we are. We're not making money off this. We're not commercializing this. We're not political activists. We're just dads that are pissed off because our kids were taken out of school, or were told to do this, or have seen graphic, explicit sexual content. And that's all I wanted to say. I want this to be as real as we can possibly get. So go ahead.
Now can you see the comments when I put them up there, Ryan? Are you able to see?
Yes, you do?
Okay. There's this one here that I think speaks to a lot of people. Don't often do things because they're not sure what in the hell they can do. So if you want to speak to that there, Joe says, just wish I could do more to help out here in K County, but like you guys will work for a living. What do you think? I know this isn't an interview, but maybe you have some advice on what people can do.
Yeah. So, first of all, I would say just in the, how do you help in education? I mean, I get this all the time from folks like, man, I'm working all the time. It's hard for me to be super involved in my kid's school. And that's where, again, reach out to your kid's teacher. Hey, I want to be involved. Let me know what's going on. If you need to call me. Here's my number. But can you show me what's going on in the class? And again, I appreciate you two for being like this from day one. Is, man, go to school board meetings and see what's being discussed, because I cannot believe how sleepy school board meetings used to be, and all this stuff's getting agreed to. And I love my girl, Miss Alina Ashley over there in Tulsa.
Yeah.
They roll up with this 90 item consent agenda, and she goes, well, hold on. No, I'm not going to do all 90. Like, let's talk through them, and just making it transparent is going to deal with so many of these issues. So I would say, getting involved directly with the teacher, school board meetings. And then I'm telling you, like in my race, if you're a supporter and you want to be involved, there's nothing more, and I always hit people, of course, guys, you always got to do the fundraising pitch, but I tell people, honestly, the thing that's even bigger than the fundraising is the word of mouth. I mean, again, I showed up at Ron's house. We had an event over there. We had some reporters that were like trying to dox Ron and roast Ron.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. Just like, what is your deal? What anyway? That's how the media just lost their mind too. But
yes,
we show up. Ron's got just everybody. I mean, and it was everybody from all walks of life. Ron kind of rolls. I mean, it's like everybody likes him. He's got all these different groups. Well, there might be a few people don't like you, but
there's like 5 people that don't really like me. But that's it.
There you go. But other than that, I mean, it's like I got to talk to so many different folks. And again, for them, it was like, hey, man, I already voted for you, or I'm voting for you because Ron, he sent me a text. He called me. That word of mouth, and you guys know, it's like for me, I've run into so many people across the state. They're like, hey, I don't know who you are. I really didn't know anything about you. But my buddy texted me and was like, hey, I heard this guy, or I met this guy, or I've read about this guy, and you ought to vote for him. Man, I'm telling you that it makes a huge difference for voters, especially in like a race like mine. I mean, everybody knows who the governor is. Everybody knows who James Langford is, but they don't know. You get further down the ballot, there's just a lot of people. I try to go to as many things as I can, but it's just hard to get to everybody,
Yeah. Well, and I really think that schools are starting to feel the pressure, like what happened to me in Owasso Public Schools, because I've been going to the school board meetings for the last 2 years, and I think that really was bothering them, because we're starting to really, it's making them think, well, now our public board meetings are getting pushed out there by these parents. The things that we do that they don't like is getting talked about, whereas before it probably wasn't, because nobody was showing up. So, to Joe's comment, that might be some, just start going to your board meetings, email them, be in their face a little bit in terms of your presence, to let them know that you are active and you want something done. Because like you were talking about with Elena Ashley, and they just want her to check this off and just give consent to it without looking at it. It's crazy.
Yeah. And, and I'm, and again, I had a lot of people lose their mind on me when I used the number 51%. 51%
you did.
Dollars are not going to the classroom. Okay. They can argue with that all they want. It's the National Center of Education Statistics. Okay. So they can go argue with all of the data people at the Department of Education if they don't like it. But what we've seen is more and more money. And ask your teachers. We've had $1.4 billion more in reoccurring revenue put into the funding formula. Ask your teachers if they feel that their class sizes have gone down. Ask them if they feel that they have more resources in the classroom. Ask them if their pay continues to build every year and they're given these opportunities. And I hear universally across the state, most teachers say, I don't see that money. And I go, well, you see that do you see new programs? Yep. Do you think the new programs help you? A lot of them go, no, I don't even use it. They buy all this stuff. I don't use it. They do this. I don't even use it. And I go, okay, that's the problem. We've allowed government bureaucracy to grow. And then your teachers are going, well, I just need help. I'm telling you the other thing parents can do. When you start talking to your teachers, one-on-one especially, they start talking about stuff like that. And that's stuff to bring up too. Hey, I heard that y'all launched this new program and, it was like a $3 million deal. Why?
Right.
What we use with it, could we not have paid for like 20 new teachers and then gotten I think those are the questions that we've got to be pushing back. We've got to bring that accountability to schools on the way they're spending money, and we've got to make sure they're getting it to the classroom.
Let me ask this real quick. This is the only serious, legitimate question I have or comment.
I know you make me nervous.
Yeah. What do you see an issue with as far as, I know we have these bloated administrations, right? Here in Owasso, Margaret Coates makes $230,000 a year. We got teachers making $50,000, $60,000 a year. So what would be the problem with making legislation that says administrators' cap is 1.5 or 2 times what the median pay of teachers is? What's wrong with that? Why?
I love it. Just a few years ago, they tried to pass a bill that said an administrator couldn't make more than the governor. And guess who killed it? COSA, OSSBA, OEA.
Bureaucrats.
That is wild to me.
Yeah, they've all worked together to say, no. The status quo is what we'll fight for, and we'll just fight for more money for the status quo. And again, it is the leadership of those organizations. Again, most teachers are not in the OEA. Okay. That is an organization that does not represent all teachers. They do not represent teachers well, and they are very top heavy. They've got a few folks at the top who call the shots.
Absolutely.
Negotiate this stuff. And again, when I talk to most teachers and go, hey, you know that the governor and I push for a plan that give you a pathway where if you wanted to, you could make up to 6 figures in the classroom, and the OEA fought it. And they go, what? I go, yeah. Did you know that we also tried to buy every teacher in the state liability insurance? And the OEA fought it, and they're going, what? What is that? Doesn't make. I go, well, it makes sense when you think about it from the reality, which is they're for their power structure. They want power, and control, and that's what they advocate for. Not what's best for kids, and frankly, not what's best for all teachers either.
Power and control. Yeah. Tim, speak to this, please.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what they're trying to push back with me. They're wanting to show, use me as an example of that power and control. But I do want to speak to this disparity between the administrators and the teachers, because the administrators and the news media with their propagandist crap, they try to always conflate a complaint about an administrator as being the same as a complaint about a teacher, and that is just wrong. I don't ever hear anybody complaining about teachers necessarily, unless it's a specific individual that did something crazy.
Tyler Wren.
Yeah, I find it disrespectful. Yes, Tyler Wren. I find it disrespectful that admins who don't do near as much work as the teachers are getting paid vastly more. And for what reason, what purpose, doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm behind that 100%. Cap that pay so that they can't just run away with that money. So, yeah.
We have another member of the legislature that, he pushes the bill every year to say, why don't we require that 60% of funds be spent in the classroom? Again, because it's common sense to be like, well, again, let's take a step back. What are the schools there for? Our schools are there to educate our kids. Okay. How do we educate our kids? With the teachers. We have allowed so much funding to go to other things that we've missed the forest for the trees. The reality is education for 1,000 years has boiled down to this, right? You got a student, you got a parent somewhere in the picture, and then you got a teacher. That is ultimately, if we want to really simplify things, you have the parents, you have the kid, the learner, and you got a teacher who's trying to help them with the concepts, right? That's what education is. But we have allowed those groups, we've allowed special interests to overly complicate it. And so the people that are really getting the damage are the teachers and the kids that are going, the reality is, and that's where you always hear me talk about, again, Tim, I know you might be pushing on me on a lot of this stuff, but, I lean into like these free market approaches because I'm going, guys, if we bring more free market principles to the school, it's very quickly that you're going to figure out who the most valuable people are. The teachers. What are we selling? We're selling an education. What do parents want? Parents want really good teachers. Ask parents what they want from, hey, I want the best teacher. I want the best 4th grade teacher. Okay. So we need to be doing all that we can to recruit, retain, and help teachers be the best teachers they can be. That if you boiled it down, that's where every incentive should be. But because of the way education is structured and because of these special interest groups, we haven't seen it play out that way. Yeah,
they are and should be the most important part of a school, of every school. And but that's not what we see. It's wild to me. And to that point, what you were talking about with, kind of pushing some competition in there, I'm to the point where I don't know that there's another option anymore. And, it kind of goes back to defund the police when an institution refuses to listen to anybody, which is what we saw kind of with the police departments. They wouldn't hold bad police accountable for their actions, and then people freaked out. That may be the answer to the public schools, not necessarily defund them, but at least show them, hey, we're going to go a different route if you don't pay attention and listen to us. I don't, it's
well, and you see what happens when I speak out against the power structure. You see how they bite back so hard. I mean, because again, I'm calling them out and I'm saying, listen, and again, such a controversial statement. I want what's best for kids. Every decision I want to understand how it's what's best for kids as individuals, right? Like, and so if that's where we center our policy around, that's where I get to the point of, I go, yeah, I want to empower the best teachers. I want to incentivize teachers to be the best. I want to recruit the best. I want to make sure that we have less overhead, more money into the classroom, because that's what we need more of. I want to make sure there's no indoctrination. There's no radical things going on that are taking away from an emphasis on the basics. We don't do the basics well. And this is something, and I'll go high level with you guys and kind of philosophical here for a minute. I think a fundamental issue that we've had with education is we've moved away from the basics and we've focused on this one size fits all model that says the ultimate goal is to get a kid a 4-year college degree. And I believe that is wrong. Not every kid is meant for college. I don't mean that in a condescending way whatsoever.
I got an 8-year-old right now that I'll send to your house that's not college material.
Hey, and guess what? And as a father, I don't care if my kids all go to college. What I care about is that they find what they love to do, that they try their best, and they try to make a difference in the world, a positive difference for other people. Hey, maybe that's college, maybe it's not. A student that I talk with almost every week, this very successful young man, started his own business. Hey, he didn't go to college. He found what he was good at. He started working for a company. He started flipping houses. Well, now he's got his own couple of small businesses. Great. But we've got to move away from this whole, all right, listen, we have figured out exactly what a path should look like for a child, and we're going to force every kid into that path. It doesn't work well for the kids, and the teachers hate that stuff too. They want to work with kids.
I just have to say this, because during COVID, and I go back to COVID because this is when I was woke up as a parent, because I hadn't attended a school board meeting before COVID ever. So it's my fault that I wasn't involved. Whatever, that's on me. But I got involved, and I've been to every one. And I reached out to Joy Hoffmeister. She is the state superintendent. And I said, we need to have a meeting with you. She wouldn't even take a meeting with us. There were 4 parents. She sent us to her staff, and they said, have you talked to the OSSBA about your complaints? No, why would I talk to the bureaucrats that aren't elected? I'm talking to my elected official. So my question to you is, are you going to remain as accessible once you're elected? Because I'm not going to go as far as Mark did, but I do believe in you. Are you going to remain as accessible to parents as you have been? And Tim, you can vouch for this. Ryan wanted you at my event. He has met with you. He has talked to you. Are you going to remain that same accessible state superintendent, public official that you have always been to me?
Absolutely. Because I believe this is the fundamental shift that has to happen. The fundamental shift has to be empowering parents through options, empowering them through transparency and accountability, and hearing their voices and acting upon that. I believe it's the fundamental shift. We have allowed the bureaucrats to dictate the discussion rather than the parents. I want to flip it on its head. I want to put the parents in charge.
Yes.
And what I want to do is every measure that we do, and we're gonna if we win this thing on Tuesday, we're gonna have some fun, because every measure I want to do, I want to figure out how we flip that model. Once we flip the model and we empower parents in every way, again, I'm talking about through transparency. I'm talking about through more options. I'm talking about through different pathways. I'm talking about through innovation inside the school settings. I'm talking about even ways to make sure that the schools are functioning more effectively for the teachers. But these are things that you get the parents' input in. Once we flip that model, we're going to see so much positivity inside our schools. We're going to see so much better learning. We're going to see kids that aren't apathetic. Again, as a high school teacher, the thing that frustrated me is apathetic kids. You see kids are like, oh my goodness, I don't want to be here. It's like, well, when you stick a kid on the same path, I'll give you an example. If a kid knows he's not going to college, a kid knows he wants to be a welder, and he's sitting in a physics class his senior year, he might not really care much about that physics class because he's already started working and he already knows what he wants to do. Well, how about we find ways to get him a math credit or a science credit to go work?
Let's talk about that. Bring up Todd's little comment here. Todd Autry.
Which one?
I think trade schools.
The last one? Oh, yeah. Needs a boost.
Yeah.
100%. Todd, I'll give you a quick story. And the reason I used a welder is because I have a student that was really, really a successful student of mine that he comes up to me right before graduation and says, "Hey, coach, I just want to tell you, I apologize to you, but I'm not going to go to college." I said, "Well, why aren't you going to go to college? What's the deal?" He goes, "Well, I want to be a welder. I've been welding with my grandpa, my dad, and I found this company that would pay me." And I go, "Well, hey, what? Don't apologize to me. That's great. I'm glad you found that." He goes on to be an underwater welder for an oil company. He sends me these pictures of his top hat or his hard hat, out in the middle of the ocean. He's loving life, making great money, zero college debt, never went to college. But again, why did he apologize to me? He apologized to me because people had pushed on him in the school system, college, rather than realizing, you know what? He did. He liked my class just fine. But you know why he loved coming to school? Because we still had welding classes at our high school, and he would do that in the afternoon, and he loved it. So he'd come to school. He was happy as could be. He'd do this and that. And he got to go out there and do what he loved.
Do they not have welding? I took welding, ag, and stuff when I was in high school. Do they not still do that?
Votech, I know.
Yeah.
And Votech is, integrated. The Votech schools are integrated. I believe they're considered public schools, right? Yep. Each county will have their own, school. Is there a way to get more of those things so that more, it's because I tried to take a mechanic class at a Votech, but they didn't have any room. Is there a way to, prevent that or, boost those numbers?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's where we've got to start looking at. One of the things we've done is we've micromanaged schools too much with all of the standards and requirements of kids. So what's happened is because of that, schools are saying, well, hold on, you got to take all these classes. And so then I hear this from kids and parents all the time. Well, my kid, though, because he's in band and because he's in sports, he can't actually go to career tech because remember, he's got to still sit for these other 6 classes. And I'm going, guys, we got to figure this out. Like, that's ridiculous. So you got a kid who just want this training. But he also, he's in band and he wants to do this. Why in the world are we not giving him dual credit for when he goes over to career tech to give it
exactly?
Why aren't we giving him dual credit for when he's in a work internship or externship? And we do a little bit of it, but not near it. We don't allow it for any of the core subjects from an externship perspective. So if you go work, I'm just thinking you're working at a bank or you're working as a teller, you can't get a math credit for that, for keeping the books for a small business.
Right.
So much of that unlocks that, Tim, where once you get outside of this, kids have to have these credits and the credits have to look like this. Then what will happen is they'll go, oh, well, if they can get a math credit, well, hey, we can just have them come out to this class and do that. So that will start opening up the class issue of right now schools are like, well, we're not going to offer a bunch of classes because there's only a few kids that can take them. And here's the other tragic part of that. It restricts all those options only to the kids that are way ahead. Because the kids that can do all those things are the ones that already have their credits.
Right.
So your kids that are the apathetic learners or your kids are like, I want to try some other stuff, like this really isn't for me. I'd like to do something different. They have no opportunity to do it because they have to be in class 7 hours a day just to get the minimum credits to graduate.
Right.
That's just, I think it's tragic for those kids.
It is wrong because that's such a curious part of your life. You don't know what it is you're going to do in 15, 20 years.
Right.
And here's the thing. If you go get a trade that you can, licensed, whatever it is, you can then pay for yourself to go through school so you don't have to be in debt. You can just pay for it while you're working full time or save up money and pay for it later. So those are options that I wish had been pushed on me, but it was college. And I think a lot of parents use college as a status symbol for their children where, I want my kids to go to college so I can tell other people that they go to college. I think there's a stigma involved with trade school versus college that some parents may be afraid of. So that might be something we also want to touch on in terms of, putting it out there to the general public. It's like, it's okay to do that. There's nothing wrong with it.
It's absolutely not. And I'll say this, my son will not, he probably will not, he's very sharp, but he's not the college type. He's not. He wants to take take stuff apart. I'm sorry, Ryan. He wants to take stuff apart, and he wants to put it back together. He wants to put it back together, right? He's going to be an engineer. He's going to build space shuttles and stuff, right? Schooling is trade school is where it's at, I think, going forward. So I appreciate everybody's comments on that.
Yeah.
I want to switch gears real quick, and I want to speak to, maybe Tim can speak a little bit more to this, but we're having a problem as parents with local school boards, and we want local control. I think everybody would agree with that. Local control, less government, local control. But when we email, when we call, when we go to board meetings, we are stared at with blank stares, and we are given sarcastic responses, and we're not brought to the table as parents. And this was the conversation that you and I, Ryan, had 2.5 years ago. We need to be brought to the table as parents. What's your plan for bringing us to the table?
All right. Well, and this is some of the stuff. Okay, I'm gonna give you 2 policy procedures. The first is we've got to move the school board elections to the general and primary cycles, where you actually more involvement in the school board elections. We've also pushed for school board member recall. I mean, again, if they're not going to answer to you and they're that involved in your kid's life, we need to have more people voting in the elections, and we need more power to voters to enact the change that's needed at their school. So that's just 2 school board issues there. And again, hey, this is a position I hold that is controversial. But again, I believe in education freedom, that a parent ultimately should be able to take their kid to another school, and those dollars should follow them. Because here's the deal. In that scenario, I'm not going to tell a parent, hey, hold on, just wait a little bit longer. Wait a few more years. We'll try to get one good school board member on who can help you, and then hold on, maybe in a few years they'll finally fire that terrible superintendent, and then things. And they're going, hold on, my kid's in 8th grade. What are you telling me? So like maybe by the time they graduate, you'll get this fixed. I fundamentally believe you, the parent, should be able to go, okay, here's the deal. If that school's better, that's where I'm going. And ultimately, not only does it give you the opportunity to put your kid in a better school, it also lights a fire under that board, under those administrators, to go, hey guys, if you don't listen to me, I mean, that's your prerogative, I guess, but I'm walking out the door. And I just think it's a huge shift in empowering parents. I think that it gives the parents the ability to be heard much louder, and it makes the schools respond to the needs of the parents.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have a question here from one of the people watching. She wants to know why schools don't stick to classical traditional teaching methods and constantly reinvent the wheel. Like sight reading versus phonetics was an issue for a while. Math, Common Core versus what we know as old school math theory. Can you speak to that a little bit as to what the shift was?
Yes. I mean, and this is where what we've got is we've got these government bureaucrats and the far left that are constantly going, hey, let's completely change the way that we do everything in education. Here's some new deal. And this is where, again, you've seen this left-wing indoctrination creep in as well, because they go, you know what would be great? It would be great if we start teaching kids at the earliest ages about like the power structures of the white race and the black race. And because really we think that if we totally shift kids on their heads, and let's have conversations about gender and sexuality earlier, because we really think that that's really a different way of getting to the end. And I'm going, no, that's insane. We know how to teach kids how to read. We know how to teach kids math. And I'm sorry, I missed who asked the question. You're exactly right. There's a reason why classical learning has been around since ancient Greece. There's a reason why the ancient Rome picked it up. There's a reason why our schools did it for so long, because guess what? You can know how to teach reading, how to teach writing, arithmetic, or math. Those are basic skills.
Basic.
Yes, that you don't reinvent the wheel. What you do is you make sure students master those things early on with teachers that have the support that's needed, has the training that's needed, have the resources that they need to be successful. And then once you do that, that's where I think after you get the basics down and you start moving into junior high and high school, that's where you start unlocking these other, hey, externships, college, career tech, college classes, AP classes. But early on, it's really simple, and it's the far left that has gotten so, and it's higher ed. I mean, I'll just tell you, it's higher ed. Higher ed. All right, let's be again. I mean, no, anyways, the B, so I'll be really blunt. Higher ed basically wants.
I love it.
To create a school system that pushes every kid into higher ed.
Well,
so
right.
But all their theories and all of their, like, hold on, and again, they're all. PhD, hold on, we have discovered a new, better way to do math. Okay. And so we're going to push it on for every teacher to do. And the thing that always kills me, guys, is higher ed institutions are so often, they're people who never taught. The college teachers that are teaching our teachers oftentimes have never actually taught in a school. I learned so much from the teachers around me of just talking to them and them going, hey, Ryan, you ought to try this. You ought to do this. Have you ever done this? When you give a test, this is actually a better way of doing it because they're actual good teachers that have taught for a while. That's why I'm a huge believer in mentorships. That's why I want to do this teacher career ladder where we utilize our best teachers to train our new teachers, to mentor our teachers, because the reality is higher ed has gotten so down this ideological bent of, we'll rethink the entire learning process. And I'm going, what are you talking about? We know how to teach kids the basics. We just got to do it and support it.
It's crazy that the mentorship you're talking about doesn't already happen, because as a parent who isn't literally inside the building knowing what the administrators and teachers got going on, it's weird to me to realize that they don't have that already, because it's common sense. That's Ron, you were going to say something. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Bring up, I don't know, Jen off of
yes.
YouTube. Yeah.
Right here. We need to put mentorship in our districts, connect kids with local business leaders, learn entrepreneurship, prepare financial course. I couldn't agree more, Jen. Thank you for the comment.
That's the common sense.
Hey, we and again, we pushed this last year and we got it passed, and I've been attacked for it. As I said, I think a school district, if you want to bring an adjunct teacher in who's got experience out in the real world and they want to come in and teach some of these classes, we should make it easier for schools to do that and award certifications so people can come in and do that. And again, we had all these establishment groups that are going, no, you can't do that. I go, why can't we do that? You're telling me you think it's a problem for business leaders to be more involved in schools and to teach kids? I'm gonna tell you what Career Tech does. I'm gonna brag on Career Tech here for a second. Yeah. One of the reasons we have we have one of the best career techs in the country. We are top 10 in certifications within 2 years of entering a career tech in the country. So they do a great job of getting kids to a certificate into the workforce. Every career tech in the state of Oklahoma, first of all, they hire people from industry. If you go to automotive, you're working with a guy who worked in automotive. The guy teaching the course actually worked in that industry. Number one, so they hire people from business. But here's the other thing they do. Every single course at Career Tech is audited by industry leaders. So when you take a welding class, it was audited by people in the welding industry to ensure your certificate, your courses meet the needs, that when you walk in the door and apply for a job, you literally got trained with the newest equipment. You literally got trained with the new, the new ways that they're using the equipment. So that's why they're so successful. That's where you see kids want to go to Career Tech, but it's that connection to say, look, I'm trying to help you further your life through a career. That's the focus. And we've got to bring more of that mentality to K-12.
Yeah. And I know that higher ed wants people to come into higher ed because, they've been jacking up the prices every year and they make a lot of money. What do we do or what would you say that began this kind of a cycle where they started using higher ed to, as you would say, indoctrinate people so that when they went into the school, they would also push these things? How much of that do you think was from a legitimate concern with, for example, systemic racism, or, where somebody really wanted to try and change things so that we could all get along and be more tolerant of each other? Do you believe that started with good intentions and then transitioned into, hey, this is a way we can really get people to change their votes later on? What do you think of that?
I think there's well-intentioned people that want to see society better. But I also believe that there's a radical left movement that they take every time it's like, well, hey, let's have a discussion about, how can we have, better criminal justice system? Well, how can we have a conversation about taxation? How can we have a better conversation about, frankly, I talk about this all the time, education. We've got a major problem where students in poverty are not receiving as good of an education as students in affluent areas. Like, let's have these conversations. But then you have this radical left that goes, I'm going to hijack every one of these for an end goal of radicalizing folks. So, and I get it. And that's where I started off, Tim, of like, look, I have good conversations with Democrats all the time that are, hey, look, I want things to be better. And I'm like, look, I do too. And we can kind of disagree on some things, but for the most part, we're probably pretty close. But then there's this radical, and frankly, Tim, I think they've taken over the party. The radical leftists are going, okay, you think you should talk to kids and tell them that they are racist when they're 4 years old? Like that doesn't make like that 4-year-old make any sense. Like, I mean, I go back to the common sense aspect of things. We want kids to read. Hey, look, I want robust conversations in my class. I want my kids to read all different things and let's have the discussion. I'm not going to tell you what to think. Hey, you can have at it. I mean, you can read about any character in history, and I want you to think about it and think about why they believed the way they did. Think about causes and effects. Absolutely. But it amazes me, Tim, that when we pass a bill that says, hey, have all those discussions, as a matter of fact, in the first paragraph, we say every standard has to be taught. But don't do these 8 things. These 8 things, real specific. Don't tell them they're racist because of the color of their skin. Don't tell them they're inferior because and the left lost their mind. And again, I'll say radical left because again, there's Democrats that I have really good conversations with this stuff.
Yeah.
But it is a radical fringe. And what I'm trying to say is we've got to, and this is where again, I'm all about building a coalition and what's best for kids. And that's Republicans, and that is Democrats that go, look, this isn't common sense. It's the radical left that has pushed all this nonsense. And most Oklahomans, Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, I think can agree, like, let's get back to the basics, guys. This has no place in K-12. Hey, when you get off, if you want to go to like an Ivy League school and go way into all this, that's fine. But when we're talking about our K-12 kids, there's really no place for that for that kind of indoctrination.
Let's switch gears real quick. Let's talk about, we got about 15 minutes here. Let's talk about what got Tim banned from the Wausau Public Schools that actually the federal judge just lifted and said, no, the 4 board members that decided that were crazy. And that's my words, not Tim's. But Tim has been a proponent of First Amendment. He's not a book banner. He's not a book burner. You're not a book banner. You're not a book burner. I'm not either. But we are all 3 dads that agree that graphic sexual images should not be in public school libraries. I think that that's a fair statement.
Yeah, I would completely agree. And I mean, I'm a liberal here. And to your point earlier, Ryan, they have gone off the deep end as far as I'm concerned. I can't associate myself with people who will sit there and debate with me the merits of having graphic images of kids, being molested or, all of this stuff. It's like how my daughter can't even hold her boyfriend's hand in school because that's inappropriate.
Right.
But she can go to the library and she can be accosted with this material. I liken it to an unsolicited D-pic, right, in the school where you're just flipping through a book you just randomly picked up and then bam, there it is right there. I don't know how to convince people of this because I feel like some of this is tribalism where they're, some of their, people, their posse or whatever, get on this bandwagon. And even if in the back of their mind, they think that, well, maybe that's too far. They're like, I'm going with it because I don't want to be ostracized by my people. I don't know. How much of that do you think is the cause there?
Well, I think that's a lot of it. I mean, and like I said, I have a good, guys, I do. I love going around the state. I've got 4 or 5 stops here at the back half of the day. I'm finishing off the night over there in Tulsa. And, look, I have great conversations with people. I mean, liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat. It's just this far left, to your point, Tim, that's just like, no, I'm just dug my heels in on this. And I'm going, hold on. I really think so much of what we're talking about in education is common sense. It's really not left or right. It's just common sense. But I get it. And I mean, look, I get it. Not everyone's going to agree with everything I say. I 100% understand that. But look, can we break down the issues and dig in? And with most people, I can do that and go, yeah, most of it. Yeah, we can agree with all that. I'm like, great. But there's the radical left that I'm going, guys, I feel like I'm talking the wall here. Like, no, I'm not. This isn't a trick. Like, we can agree. Like, let's get that stuff out of school. Let's get pornography out of school. Let's get the stuff that's just over the top out of schools, right? And no, you're a book. And I'm going, okay, well, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm trying here to work into this, but that's just such a radical position that they've staked out for themselves that you can't get through to them.
And they view us as like you're being radical, because it seems reasonable to me. That's the debate they always make.
And
it's
can I
wild.
address it? I think that's a great point, because what I'm saying is, guys, I'm just saying, stop pushing the stuff that wasn't there 10 years ago in.
Yes.
They act like that's a radical position. I'm like, guys, 10 years ago, nobody would have disagreed with me.
Right.
So if I would have said, hey guys, here's the deal. I don't think we should have pornography in school, and I don't think we should call kids racist. I think most people would be like, yeah, I mean, yeah, sounds good. Is there somebody trying to do that?
Exactly.
Now those positions that, like, 10 minutes ago were common sense. Like, yeah, I mean, right. Like, is this, of course everybody believes that. Right. Now just like, whew, I mean, they're dug in.
Now you're a bigot, or, you go and talk about these things, and then 4 days later you get banned from school property. I mean, that's
Tim, can you go back up to whoever Jen is on YouTube? Her 233 was her comment. School board elections.
Let's see here. Yeah, I've been trying to follow, but I've been trying to listen. We need a third person here to do this.
No, right.
That's not it. You said it was Elizabeth?
No, Jen on YouTube.
Oh, Jen. Let me see.
School board elections, 2:33 p.m.
Oh, here we go. This one?
Yeah, that one. That's a great comment. Speak to that, please.
Yeah.
All right, school board elections, man.
Most important legislation we can get passed for parental control involvement, also gets transparency, accountability, and forefront. Sorry, I wanted to read that in case there's anybody watching that can't see.
Yeah. Guys, I agree. I mean, I've been, obviously, I think my election is incredibly important, because I think we have to have someone in there who's going to champion parents, push for accountability and transparency. But I'm going to tell you, it's just as important, if not more important, to get good folks on your local school board. I mean, that is so important. And because we've put them at these odd times, they've become this afterthought.
Yep.
We need to put them on the general and primary cycles where everyone's talking about it. And you're going to get better candidates to run. You're going to get more of the community involved. And here's the other thing. Look, if you ran for a local race and, 120 people voted and you win and people get mad, a lot of them are like, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not like a ton of people were. Hey, if you get elected and, 15,000, 20,000 people voted, you're like, okay, hold on. They're telling me they want this. So I better listen up, because I just heard from because I think a lot of them, and I think it's arrogant. I think it's wrong.
Yes.
I think a lot of them write it off as like, I mean, only 120 people care, so I can just go do what I want.
That is asinine to me. Why?
I know.
Yeah.
Why? I'm not just I'm just saying I think that's what they think.
Well, it's weird because here in Owasso, it was 6 years before I ever got a single response from my board members, and I had emailed them at least once a year. And that is crazy to me. And even after the 6 years, it took maybe another almost 2 for them to actually start sending me anything other than, well, I got your email. So there needs to be a way so that the community can say, well, you're not working for us. We need to replace you. Do you know of any current way to do that? And if not, would you champion legislation that would allow like recalls or something for board members?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the deal. I mean, you've got to empower parents and communities. The schools are supposed to be reflective of our communities. They are not. They are not in a large part of the state. Again, I'm not saying everyone. I'm just speaking generally. I can tell you one example. When the legislature passed with over 80% of the legislature that said, look, you're not going to mandate masks. Look, if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. Okay. But you're not going to mandate a mask on every 4-year-old in your school. Like, you can't mandate it. If you want to, you can. So that was really common sense. But all of a sudden we had all these school boards who were like, well, we're going to do it anyway. And Joy was advising them, going, well, you can actually still pass a mask mandate by doing this or that. To me, it showed really clearly the legislature that represents their communities were overwhelmingly like, yeah, we don't want mask mandates. But the school boards are so out of step that they're like, well, we're going to try to do it anyway. I mean, that just is, I always use that as an example of how out of whack they've gotten. And then that plays out in policy. It plays out in who the superintendents are, who the administrators are, what the practices are of the school. And so, I mean, we've got to get that done.
Yeah, it is wild that there's no way currently that I can see to hold them accountable for anything. I mean, I don't know what the answer to
Tim,
that
you're killing
is.
me. You're killing me with your phone, Tim. You're killing me.
It's
he's the liberal loudmouth. He's right.
Yeah, I
all
may
these
need to
liberal
take
friends
it.
are like, I'm done with you now.
I know.
Why?
I know.
Why are you talking to Ryan?
Actually, they were done with me a while ago. Because I've always been a more reasonable human.
You really have, yeah.
And I don't do the tribalism thing. If I think it's right, I don't really play favorites or whatever. I'm not going to rationalize something that I think is completely out of touch with reality just because my party wants me to. And I know there are other people out there like that. I just wish they would come out and be okay with speaking.
And hit me with it, Tim. I mean, if you want to push me on something, I mean, you've been very kind to me in this interview. You've asked me some pointed questions, but again, I've appreciated my conversations with you, the conversation today about, look, here's where we are. Here's where we agree. Here's some of the concerns. And again, I know we don't agree on everything. But I'm a true believer that these conversations, we need more of these conversations, not less. We need to, the scare tactics they're saying, Ryan's going to shut down all your rural schools. That's absurd. They're trying to shut down conversations instead of having them. And again, I am saying we need to change things. We have a record amount in education. With $1.4 billion coming in a year, our test scores have gone down. Money is not the problem. It is the way we are spending the money. It is the way the system is set up. It is not a system that benefits parents. It's not a system that benefits teachers, and it's not a system that benefits our kids ultimately. So we have to do some changes. I am for our rural schools. I want us to have the best public schools in the United States of America. That is what I want. That is what I'm going to fight for. And I want to build a coalition to help get that done.
Yeah, I think they use the rural schools as just a talking point, because it's been my experience that rural schools are more likely to push back on the kind of stuff that they're trying to sell people. So the rural schools are already, I don't think, in their mindset generally. So maybe that's a way to signal to them. It's like, we care about you.
I think all three of us are from rural schools, correct?
Yeah, I think I graduated with like 40 people.
Yeah, 42 people right here.
And I'll just say, I would have no issue calling you out on something I disagreed with. Although, this was really just kind of sit down and talk about stuff. But there's been nothing that you've said today that I could say I disagreed with. And it's hard to watch a campaign unfold when you have sound bites coming at you, where you have other people characterizing things that you said. And I told Ron this when we were at the church the other day. I'm like, it's a hell of a lot different whenever you hear the full story and the full conversation than when you hear it from somebody telling you what was said. So, I don't know. Go ahead.
Well, I appreciate that. I know you're a straight shooter, so I know you would hit me if you didn't like what I said.
Yeah.
But my thing is too, they make fun of me for all my car videos, stuff like that. But my thought has always been, look, I'm going to talk to people. I can't get to everybody. So you know what? It's not going to be perfect. I'm not going to sit here and rehearse it. But when there's something going on, I'm going to speak directly to people where they can hear me and get to know me a little bit. And you know what? I'm telling you, the media is terrible. I called them out the other day because it's just embarrassing. The talking points they're regurgitating on these issues, and they won't talk about anything that I'm hearing from voters, but they want to do this sideshow about rural school shutdown that they know is a lie. They know that dark money is pushing, and that's all they want to talk about, rather than Joy literally pushed a plan to shut down all schools during COVID. She tried to force it through the school board to say, no, we'll make the decision on when you open up, and we're going to keep you shut down. And I keep calling out the media going, hey, you don't want to talk about that, do you? Because it doesn't fit into the narrative that you're trying to paint. And, to me, we've just got to continue to fight through that, have real discussions. That's why I try to be very available. I try to get around the state as best I can. And then I try to just just go on, like I said, a lot of times it's me in my car, or, me stepping outside of a diner and just, hey, here's what's going on, just to talk to as many folks as possible, because it is, campaigning it's hard to get to everybody, and it's hard to talk with everybody. So I just,
this is the last thing I'm going to say on this. And I'll
that's not going to be the last thing you're going to say, Ron, but go ahead.
It's going to be, I'm going to say the last word. Tim can speak to this because the media has not picked up the fact that a school has banned a parent from speaking at his public school board meeting, violated his First Amendment rights, and a federal judge has taken that ban off and said the school board members were wrong. Nobody except Bert Mumolo from Channel 8 has picked that up.
It's crazy.
Nobody around the nation. And to me, that is appalling because that should be the front page news. It
doesn't fit their narrative. They wanted to paint me as a big bully coming after these teachers, and again, I was very specific. These two teachers who are admitting on camera they broke the law and will continue to break the law. Very specific. I addressed in both of my comments, I said, by the way, they are not indicative of our teachers. Our teachers are not like this. So I was really, no. The media was so focused on trying to make me look like I was just targeting teachers I didn't agree with. I don't care what your political background is. Again, I just want you to come in and teach. These are two people that are saying they literally are liberal activists in the classroom. They were obsessed with that. They still are obsessed with that. And here you have a parent. I mean, he's not even a conservative parent. A parent who gets kicked out of a board meeting and now has a federal judge ruling on it, and crickets. It's uncivil, but it doesn't fit their narrative.
Right.
And that's so disgusting about the fake news and what they're pushing here and coming election time. Hey, they know the election's on Tuesday. They know another story about how parents are not being as involved as they should be in their child's education. Does not help Joy Hoffmeister, Elson. So they want no part of telling that story.
Well, I'll tell you what, their silence tells a huge story about their intent, I would say, because it signals to everybody else. It's like, look, they are in the pockets of those administrators that are doing these things. So you're not actually going to get good information about the schools in general in the first place.
Absolutely.
So take everything they say with a grain of salt. Because I'll tell you something. News on 6 did that to you today. Let me pull this video up. We only have 4 minutes left. So I'm going to try to make this quick, but you saw it earlier, but this is going to be for everybody else. I'm not even going to bother with the audio because we don't need it. But look right up here. This is to everybody. On your ad, here it is saying, I'll be voting for Joy Hoffmeister.
On your ad that you paid for.
This is disgusting to me. And here's what's crazy about that. I'm actually voting for Joy, and I find this to be very offensive, and it pisses me off. Honestly, I hope somebody sues that news station because that is just absolutely unnecessary and uncalled for. So when they do stuff like that, and Amy Fitchner, during COVID, I, as a parent, was interviewed by News on 6, and they told me, well, we're not going to run a story yet. And they'd already interviewed. We're not going to run a story yet. We got to get the school's version. I'm like, okay, that's fair enough. That's journalism. So they ran the story. They didn't show a single parent. The parent they used was Amy Fitchner, who's the superintendent of Owasso Public Schools at the time.
True story.
So she spoke as the parent and as the superintendent and never ran the story. And I'm like, wait, didn't y'all just tell me you couldn't run the story because you needed their version of it? It is absolutely disgusting to me.
Shame on News on 6 is what I'm saying.
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing. When we win this election on Tuesday, I am going to be the media's worst nightmare because I am not their crap. I'm going to call them out every single time. And when they want to continue to paint these narratives that are not allowing Oklahomans to have the discussions we should be having, to being able to talk in a robust way about how we improve education for our kids and about how we get parents more involved, when they are going to continue to try to push lies and change the narrative, I am going to call them out every single time, and I will call them out by name. And again, I'll be their worst nightmare. I hope that, you guys and your viewers, if you will help share the word, again, I'm telling you, I get people that tell me, so-and-so texted me, and I didn't know you, but I got a text from, I'm telling you, it makes a world of difference to text and call family and friends. And we can win this. And I know if I win this election on Tuesday, when I win, it's going to be because of the parents of Oklahoma said, we want to be more involved in our kids' education. We want to flip the script, take the power away from bureaucrats and put it in the hands of parents. And that's exactly what I'm going to do.
I love it.
That's why I'm going to vote for you and not Gina Nelson, because I don't have any faith that she would do that. And I believe that you'll rile them up.
I haven't really made up my mind yet whether I'm voting for you or not, Ryan.
Oh man, I know it's 3:00 and you probably have to run. You know,
so appreciative. Thank you so
you.
much.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Yeah. Is there any last thing you've got, like 8 seconds to the audience?
Yeah, I'd love to come back sometime. Let's get Tuesday taken care of. Again, if everybody can text, call family and friends. Hey, you guys are a lot of fun. Like I say, I like tuning in the show. I love to see you guys mixing it up. So Tim, I do really appreciate it, my man. And Ron, always good to see you.
All right, thanks a lot, man. You have yourself a good one. We're going to finish up on the other end. Good luck on the campaign, and we'll see you on Tuesday winning.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Man. Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan.
Bye-bye. Man, that was awesome.
Thanks to all the viewers that were comments. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Everybody in there. And if we didn't get to your comments, I'm sorry. I was trying to listen to what Ryan was saying while also reading through the comments, but there was a lot of comments there. So
there was I think there's almost 200 comments. There was a bunch of comments.
I couldn't read them all. So Elizabeth, I know there was another question, but I was like, man, I can't scroll through there. I've got to listen to what he's saying. But no, the support you guys are showing the show right now, please, we have to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube before we can monetize anything. So if you haven't done so already, run over to YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell for notifications for our future videos.
It's not a real big thing either. It's not, it doesn't cost you any money.
No, but we have to get to 1,000 before we can even monetize. So that would help us out tremendously and help get the word out. Because we'll have, I believe you've got Elena coming up tomorrow, right? We were both gonna do it, but I've got a wedding. So
yeah, Tim has to work tomorrow, but I have Alina Ashley tomorrow at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. And then I also have a teacher from TPS and a teacher from Bigsby later in the afternoon. That's going to be on the Real Ron show. And that maybe we can get some other people on before the election. Are you interested in talking to Grant Miller and a couple of politicians from Tulsa running for city council?
And I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
I'll talk to anybody. You know people. I don't really know people. So, if you can get somebody out there, I'll talk to them.
I think the more we have discussions and the more people we bring on and have the discussions, I think it's better for the community as a whole. Absolutely.
Plus, as y'all can see, the way we're going to do our show, it's going to be more laid back. I'm not going to be such a journalist or whatever. And I'm sure those conversations with Ryan will be different after the election because he still is in campaign mode and it would be hard for him to get out of that. But we like to bring in the comments from the community. So, we try our best to do that. Did you want to say anything else, Ron? What you got?
Sorry, I got all
important. His people are reaching out to him because he's the real Ron.
I've been ignoring people all for like in the last hour. They're like freaking out. They're like having anxiety attacks.
If you message, like, you mad at me?
Yeah. If you want one of these, there's 6 of them. I'll sign my name. $5. That's all I want. Is $5, $30 to send to Tim's defense fund to smack it to OPS.
Yeah. Thank you, Jen. We appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want one of these off the Real Ron wall, these are going to be worth money. This is like, I have to tell everybody, Tim. We have to tell everybody next. We're going to do a Tuesday evening election night thing.
Have we set down the watch party yet? Have we worked that out?
Yeah, we're going to go to Oklahoma City and do that.
Also, I have on Monday, I'm going to Veneta to the GOP. The GOP committee has asked me to go up there and speak. And that'll be on Monday at 7 o'clock let me get this address real quick.
We also have Donald Trump calling in on Tuesday.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
It'll be right here. If you want to come out, hang out, and Ron's going to be there with me as well.
Yes.
I don't know if it's completely open to the public. I don't know. Let me I probably should have asked that before I shared it. I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, if it's GOP, it's completely, it's got to be.
Yeah, I would imagine so. But either way, you got the address now.
There you go.
I'm like, please let me in. Why are you acting like Gina Nelson? Huh?
Just mention Tim.
Don't pull a Gina Nelson on me and make it private.
Just mention Loudmouth. They'll let you in.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh yeah, we know those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Monday, that's in Veneta, right?
Yeah, Veneta. Yeah, Emmanuel Church.
And then we're gonna go up to the city Tuesday evening for the watch party.
Rock on. Be cruising in style, man.
That's right.
I'm telling you, we need to get some motorcycles.
I know, with some leather.
I sold I traded mine in for the car, but I need to get another one. So probably gonna get another one.
I so appreciate everybody coming on and watching. I know it's like 2:00 on a Friday afternoon, but man, we had so many people watching. Good job.
Yeah, there were a lot of people. We appreciate that, and humbled, and just hope that you subscribe so that we can get to 1,000 as quick as possible.
Yeah, we're just some dads trying to do the right thing.
The right thing. Yeah.
So
in the right way most of the time.
It was a good show, and it's because of y'all, and we appreciate it. Mostly it's because of me. But anyway. I
think it's because of Joy in the back there.
I know. Look at this.
I know. Isn't it gorgeous? That is hilarious. That's like the best picture ever. I love the little smirk on her face too.
What I should have did was take a picture of my mugshot and put it next to hers.
No, you with the pink guitar.
Oh yeah.
Pink guitar.
Yeah.
Now the mugshot would make more sense.
Hey, props to Unwokable for his interview before ours.
Yes.
Wonderful podcast. Go check that out. And thanks so much for Ryan Walters for giving us an hour right before election. I mean, that was phenomenal. Yeah. Great job. Appreciate it.
Yeah, he didn't have to do that, and he did. And we're probably going to have him back on again in the future.
Absolutely.
So make sure you hit that notification
when you see his name on there. That's the dude to go vote for on Tuesday.
Yeah.
If you don't straight party vote, go vote for Ryan Walters. He's going to change some shit.
Yeah. There was a comment in here that I really wanted to put up there.
Let's go.
I got to find it. It was a while back. There's been a lot of comments. Hold on.
Oh, there were so many comments.
Just hang tight, y'all. It was from Riley. I believe it was Riley. It was under Flak Attack.
Yeah.
What time do you show on it?
That was like 2:40, around 2:40.
2:40. Okay, let me find it. I'm putting it up here. Oh, I can't find it. I don't see it anymore.
It might have been earlier than 2:40. It was halfway through probably.
Anyway, he said there are men right there. Those are men right there. Oh, and Tim.
Riley's
if I wasn't in the middle of a conversation with Ryan, I would have busted up laughing. That was hilarious.
Yeah. If y'all don't know who we're talking about, Riley Flack out in Stillwater. He's doing work up there. He's fighting the fight, and he calls Tim the lib.
Oh, here it is. I found it. Boom. Men right there. Also see Tim. Good one. That's nice.
Like that. Riley's a good dude. Thanks, Casey, Todd, Sandy.
Thank you. To everybody. What do we got here? It's raising interesting. What did Michelle Lynn say? I didn't see her.
There were so many comments we couldn't get to them.
Everybody, please share this video. Yeah, for
Michelle,
sure.
We love you coming on. Tina, Michelle, we love you. Austin, I think I saw Austin on there too.
Yeah.
We have. I appreciate it so much. Ryan said that was awesome, and thank you so much, guys. So yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Now, I do have to get off here because I'm going to have to go get my daughter. And guess what, y'all? I can actually drive into the school parking lot right now and pick her up. And
why is that, Tim?
That's because the judge said you can't violate his First Amendment rights.
All you had to say was America.
America. Oh, well, that's true.
Yeah.
America, y'all. All right. Well, I'm going to get out of here. We'll see y'all on the next show. And check out Ron's stuff tomorrow. Elena Ashley.
I'm going to be with Elena Ashley tomorrow. I'm sorry you're going to miss that, but you have to work for a living.
I know it sucks. If I have time after I get my gear, I may come on there on my phone. I'll be in my car
Yeah, tomorrow afternoon I'll be with the teachers. If you have time with me and Alina, she. In fact, I was talking to Alina while Tim was listening, and he's like, "Tell Alina I said I love her," and she's like, "Oh, I love Tim. I'm so proud of him for standing up for this." So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's really all the support with this has been phenomenal. So I can't thank everybody enough. It's a good motivation. All right, Ron, we will check you later, sir.
All right,
Everybody
see
have
you
a
later.
good one. Enjoy your
Thanks.
Friday. Peace.